Good morning. Welcome to Just for Today, a time of eclectic reading, sharing of perspectives, meditation, and prayer. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader of the newly joined Centers for Spiritual Living of Columbia and Greater Baltimore. Today is May 13th. And this morning, the reading that caught my attention, the book that caught my attention, is this book, The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. And the reading that I opened to is on page 81, second paragraph. Once you accept yourself just the way you are, the next step is to accept your partner. If you have decided to be with a person, don't try to change anything about them. Just like your dog or cat, let them be who they are. They have the right to be who they are. They have the right to be free. When you inhibit your partner's freedom, you inhibit your own because you have to be there to see what your partner is doing or not doing. If you love yourself so much, you are never going to give up your personal freedom. Now, I don't know what follows that. But what I know is if I don't want to give up my personal freedom, I have no right to ask anyone else to give up theirs. I think that's the most difficult thing for us as human beings to navigate is really the power of choice, the grace of our divine authority to choose. What we teach in Science of Mind is that we are infinite intelligence expressing in form, God expressing in form, whatever name you put on it. But to really honor another's choice can be challenging, especially when they choose things that we don't like or things that in this physical realm cause harm. And yet, the very authority, a loving God as it expresses itself, our higher power, the great mystery, whatever name you use, gave everybody the same degree of choice and does so with the same degree of freedom. And that's challenging sometimes because we live in a paradigm of right and wrong. We live in a paradigm where we have established a belief and an agreement that civilization, being civilized, is about controlling choice. And perhaps more than controlling choice, it's about taking absolute responsibility for how we choose and taking ownership of that. If I am in fear of your choices, then I try to control you. And perhaps what's underneath that is that I'm in fear of the power of my own choice. I know as a minister, it's a interesting dance because oftentimes people look to me to advise them and sometimes to tell them what to choose. And I don't have that authority. I don't know what someone else needs to choose. I struggle to know what I'm supposed to choose. How would I know what someone else is supposed to choose? And then at the same time, at the human level, when people that do have social power over make choices that directly impact my life, I find myself wanting to control their choices. So it's really an interesting dance we do with letting one another be who we are. Um, And even as I say that, what occurs to me is that if we really know who we are, we will choose in alignment with that. And then there won't be anything to control, because when I know who I know that I am a cell in the one body, and my choices are about the health and sustenance of that body. And so I choose in cooperation with, I choose in synchronicity with. And when I really know who I am, I don't choose against myself. So I couldn't choose against you either. And I think that's what he's saying in this reading, that, you know, to try to control someone else is to instantly give up our own control, because now my whole focus is on that person that I'm trying to control, and I've abandoned myself. Um, it's an interesting perspective, and I think it's a just a glorious truth that some of us would just rather not entertain. And that's okay. In this realm of we get to choose, that has to be okay too. Um, when we're ready, we're ready. And the spiritual journey, I believe, is about becoming ready. So that's what is alive in me to share about that reading this morning. Anything alive in you that you would like to share this morning? If not, I will read the reading one more time and take us into our 5 minute meditative practice. It really is just practicing being present with what is. It's not to make anything specific happen, it's not to make anything stop. It's simply to practice being present with whatever is. Okay, here's the reading again. Once you accept yourself just the way you are, the next step is to accept your partner. If you decide to be with a person, don't try to change anything about them. Just like your dog or cat, let them be who they are. They have a right to be who they are. They have a right to be free. When you inhibit your partner's freedom, you inhibit your own, because you have to be there to see what your partner is doing or not doing. And if you love yourself so much, you are never going to give up your personal freedom. I recognize there is one life, one peace, one power, one presence, one body, many, many cells, one substance that is the source of this one body. It is the source of all creation, that creation is the source expressing in multiplicity. That this one power, this one presence is diversity. It is omnipotence. It is omnipresence. It is omniscience. It is infinite abundance, infinite intelligence, infinite possibility. It is words I have yet to imagine that equally inadequately describe it, because it is beyond description. It is beyond containment. It is beyond a name, and yet we know it by many, many names. I am that in form, fully infused with all that it is, with the agency of this one substance itself, to use it to expand its experience of itself, to choose, every choice being a movement of consciousness, a movement of this substance that is all, moving it into form, moving it into function, moving it into expression. Every desire, a movement of consciousness. Every breath, a movement of consciousness. Every thought, a movement of consciousness. Constantly expressing itself, expanding itself, its expression, its experience in form and all that the form is surrounded by. I am that. And what is true of me is true of all creation. More accurately, every expression of creation. Every person, place, thing, animal, vegetable, mineral, gas. Every expression of the infinite that we have yet to identify. Is this one expressing. And so I claim and affirm the holy, sacred power of choice. I claim and affirm that life, humanity, is awakening to the truth of its being, and as it does, where it chooses from changes. What we choose changes. I claim and affirm that intrinsically there is no need to control choice. And I accept within myself the responsibility, the ability to respond, to awaken to the ownership, the responsibility, the glory, the privilege of the power of choice. I claim and affirm that I choose in alignment with the truth of being. I claim and affirm that all choice is in alignment with the truth of being. And knowing that there is only one being, yes, I am claiming that all choice is in alignment with the one. that there is no choice against the truth of being, that there is no choice against any expression of creation, and that the corrective action of one, the harmonious operation of one, is correcting, bringing into alignment, bringing into the health and well-being, the sanity, the preciousness, the peace, the calm, the contentment of one, all choice coming into alignment. And so as that happens, I know that everything unlike that becomes glaringly obvious. And so I claim and affirm that as we each become aware that rather than pointing fingers, we each take responsibility for where the misalignment lies within us, within the individualized us. And we go about the business of healing that, bringing the divine self into alignment with the human self. And allowing space for everyone else to do the same. There is no condemnation. And so I choose to celebrate. I choose gratitude. I choose to live in the recognition that life is always perfectly unfolding life. That is the nature of spiritual law. That is the nature of physical law. That is simply nature unfolding itself naturally. And so knowing that the word spoken is the word fulfilled, that this activity within creation, the doer, has already said, yes, I know it's already true. And so beyond this realm of human time and space, I know that spiritually it is already done. And so to live in faith, I stand in this belief. And I look for the evidence of the demonstration. I look for the manifestation. I look for what is in alignment. I look for what is correct. I look for what is peaceful. I focus my attention on seeing the demonstration of the word spoken. And I let go. I let go of this human idea that some part of me controls spirit. Even to say that gives me a chuckle. And so I let go. I let go and I stand by choice in faith. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amen. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.